Thread Guy Doxx party. Congratulations, brother. 10,000 followers. Our Mooncats are pumping. Your follower account is pumping. Your tweets are absolutely pumping. 150 tweets in a day, dude. I remember when you first started a few months ago saying that you felt like you tweeted a lot. And I think that was around like 20 or 30 tweets. Oh, man. I guess as price increases, your tweets and engagement does as well. So congratulations and thanks for coming on.
Thank you, man. Yeah, it's a great day today. Honestly, a great week. The market's been great. The engagement's been great. Appreciate you having me on. I'm really excited for this episode, brother.
So tell us before we dive into a little bit of the Thread Guy backstory. What was the decision behind doxing yourself? There are tons of people, just had Machine on, who has not doxed himself, and a bunch of mega influencers like Beanie, who has not publicly shown who they are. You decided to. So just take us through the thought process behind that.
I mean, really, it was something I felt like had to happen at some point. You know, I like a lot of people in the NFT space. I made a lot of friends in the NFT space, and I'm really looking forward to IRL events and going out, meeting people, hanging out with people. And it was something that had to be done eventually. And I just thought of it, and I was like, you know what, screw it, 10K. I'm going to do it. And 10K came a lot faster than I thought. I was a little nervous, a little anxious about it, but I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm just going to throw my face out there. I don't have anything to hide. I don't have anyone coming for me, I hope. So
Not yet, at least. Yeah, man, it looked like you had a pretty warm reception from the community. You have a pretty great following.
I had a great, reception. I have some great followers. People are, the community is great. People are really nice on Twitter. So it was a good experience.
Hey, I thought I almost predicted you right. I remember this had to be like a month or two ago.
I remember this.
Yeah, you're talking about like nobody knows who you are, and I was like 22 wears too many basketball shorts and wears on the East Coast, and you're like, oh my god, I think that's pretty
damn
close.
I ran a little. I tweeted out. I was like, what did you think I looked like? Like, was I the image you had in your head? And the winning response was not at all, like furthest thing from it. So
yeah, you'd be surprised. Funny. So let's dive a little bit into your backstory. I know you said this is the second podcast. You've talked a little bit about how a small Top Shot buy has just jump-started this rise to just being fully embedded into the crypto space. Take us through the story of the Thread Guy.
Yeah, so pre Top Shot, even I would say early fall of 2020, I was Michael J. Cards on Twitter, and I was the physical sports card guy. So I worked, at my peak, I probably provided information for 25, 30 subscription Discord, really reselling groups. And I was the card guy. I post investments, information, flip opportunities. And I did that for a while. I really enjoyed it. But with that, you peak out, you run out of groups, you run out of opportunity to go up. And at one point I found Top Shot in October, early November. And I had no idea what the hell an NFT was. I didn't own crypto. I was familiar with, Bitcoin, but not any more than the average person. And I joined the Top Shot Discord, and, shout out Burko Kid, his name is. If you don't follow him, follow Burko. Convinced me to buy a couple Top Shot moments, and I bought them, forgot about it. Came back a month later, early December, and I was up, $100 into 2,000. And I was like, holy shit, there's something here. And I didn't have a lot of capital at the time, but I put a pretty substantial investment in for me, a couple $1,000 to $2,000. And Top Shot, we know what happened with Top Shot, went ridiculous. I got pretty lucky and mostly sold the top in February. And at that point, I was like, I think Top Shot crashed pretty soon after that. I didn't want to spend more money, and I bought a couple nifty gateway NFTs. I wanted to get into the space, but I just couldn't get behind really the avatars and the punks and what was going on. And I completely just forgot about NFTs all the way until June, July. And I think it was Pranksy bought the zombie punk for like $2 million. And I saw it on my Twitter feed. I still followed, Beanie and all these guys because I like the shit posting. I understood the memes, but I wasn't into the NFTs. I saw that sale and I was like, dude, I can't keep looking the other way on this. And I got back into it. And then within a month, NFTs really took over my life again. I was fully into it. I made the Twitter account. I realized, you need to be on Twitter. You need to be posting. You need to market yourself on Twitter. And the Thread guy was born.
Hey, the Thread. What was the first thread that you posted?
The first thread I posted was, wow, this is a funny story, actually. The first thread I posted was on plasma bears. I don't know if you're familiar with those. It's a 2018 historical project. So I bought 2 plasma bears for 0.2 ETH each, posted a thread. At the time I was making some TikToks, so I posted a couple plasma bear TikToks, held them for about 3 weeks. The day I decided that I was going to be done with school in the fall and go all in on NFTs, I sold my plasma bears for break even 0.2 each. And it was the same night that fucking Gary V tweeted plasma bears, pumped them. I woke up in the morning, the floor was 4 ETH. 5x my portfolio. It hurt, man. But that was the first thread. I probably had 10 followers. It probably got 5 retweets. The first thread that really got me a following. The second one I wrote about NBA Top Shot. And that probably took me from 10 followers to 200 overnight. That was a crazy, crazy feeling when that happened.
It's that jump start. And as the thread guy has grown, you're kind of in a bunch of different communities. So you're interacting with like the Mooncats, who's a historical, the Flippers within the Top Shots community. And then the big rise was when you bought the Mutant Ape, and it was pretty low. I believe you bought it. It was like 3 or 4 ETH, something around there.
Yeah, I traded for it. I gave like 4.5 ETH in trade value for it.
And that was kind of really the jump start. And then you start communicating with the Mutant Apes and the Bored Apes community, which is pop culture. Are there any similarities or distinct differences that you've seen between all of these different communities that you're actively engaging in?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, I, like you said, interact with a bunch of communities. I have a pretty big following from the Flow NFTs, Top Shot, Ballers, Hoodlums. And then I have a pretty big following from, we'll just call it ETH, OpenSea NFTs. There's definitely a difference there. Most of the Flow Top Shot guys weren't really, involved in the OpenSea scene and are just kind of now making the transition. So I would say, the apes and the Mooncat community and all of them are much more, they've been a little more experienced and are been here more with the OpenSea stuff, as the Flow guys are more like physical card people and sports fanatics that are making the jump in NFTs, and they're doing great. And I love Flow. I love all these communities. And that's really one of my favorite parts about writing these threads and what I do. Cause when I'm writing, researching, I'm in the Discord, I'm chatting with mods and founders and meeting all these people. And, I write a thread and move on, but the connections really stick. The interactions on Twitter stay. So, it's fun as hell.
And you've made a few recent posts about how a lot of the Flow users are going to migrate over to OpenSea and really jumpstart a bull run. What do you think is the largest obstacle or transition that's preventing some of those Flow users over to OpenSea in this more like decentralized world?
I think the first major obstacle was understanding NFTs, how we see them beyond Top Shot. Because, for a regular person, like, to show them Top Shot, they can get behind it. They understand what this is. Okay, digital sports collectibles. But if you show them a crypto dick butt and these things are two ETH, and it's the price of a Top Shot debut LeBron. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. And I think really what changed the game was Ballers. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. It's my profile picture. Sometimes I wrote a thread. Ballers was the first avatar project. Not the Hoodlums was the first avatar project on Flow, but I feel like Ballers was the first Flow avatar project that really connected to the Top Shot community. And most of them bought in. They all made their profile picture, and pretty quickly they're like, holy shit, this, fundamentals aside, team aside, just this community feel of everyone has the same profile picture, everyone's supporting everyone. It was cool, and they really I really feel like that brought the Flow community together, and all of a sudden I have all these people who had never bought an NFT outside of Top Shot are on, buying derivatives on OpenSea of, cash grab projects. And I know it's fun. It's fun to see people are making money. So I'm happy to see the Flow guys over on OpenSea, and hopefully more of the OpenSea guys make the transition to some Flow NFTs.
It becomes that clash. It's a similar clash of Ethereum and Bitcoin, and then Ethereum versus Solana, and then you just keep going down the train. It's
Absolutely.
It's the triangle of like decentralization, speed, and security, and it's really impossible to have all three. So I only have 2 of 3. And so for Bitcoiners, it's hard for them to move down to Ethereum because it lacks some of the decentralization, and it's the same thing for Ethereum to Solana. Sure. And I know for me, it was similar because I haven't bought any Flow projects yet, but moving over from Ethereum and, being in crypto since like late 2016, early 2017, sacrificing a lot of that decentralization, which has kind of been like the ethos of what the industry has shown for this time, makes it a little bit tougher. But now I'm beginning to realize that sometimes you just have to go where the market is. Some of us prefer just permissionless over decentralization.
Yeah, absolutely. And we were talking obstacles. One more, pretty obvious one is gas. I mean, you trade NFTs on Flow, on Top Shot, on whatever, and it's, list price is $100. You check out, it costs $100. And then you come over to OpenSea and you buy a $100 NFT, it costs $400. And it's like, what the hell is this? Why would anyone use this? So gas is definitely another, obstacle, roadblock. I mean, it is for the whole community really, but hopefully as time goes on, it'll work itself out.
Hopefully. I mean, right before this, I had to transfer over a bunch of funds to Matic so I could get it on this Royal Music drop, which just got postponed because the website crashed.
I saw you posting about that.
Yeah, the website crashed, which seems to happen with every minting process.
Yeah, we're familiar with that.
Yeah, I don't know if Flow ever has anything like that. In terms of Flow, so I think the NFL partnered with Flow as well, correct? And so they're going to do something with Moments.
So Dapper, who is Flow and who is the creators of Top Shot, they also have the NFL, they have the UFC, they have Dr. Seuss, and they have La Liga, soccer league. So Dapper's a beast. Dapper's a powerhouse. And I mean, they're really with sports NFTs. I mean, sports is huge. Obviously, sports NFTs are going to be big. There really isn't much competition outside of Candy is pretty big, who does baseball. But outside of that, I mean, there is not much. It's really untapped. And there isn't that many platforms I know that are working on, developing sports NFTs. So before long here, Dapper is going to be a beast, if not already.
Do you think some of the other alternative sports outside of basketball NFTs will have a lot of success? Because I know in the traditional sports card world, basketball is like the holy grail that has the most value, the LeBron cards, I think the Giannis and some of these other ones. Whereas football, there's so many players. It's not as like pop culture-y. There's not as much like shows and drama that happens on the outside of the arenas. Do you think this will change with NFTs?
I think it will, and I really think the biggest issue is getting more eyes on the platform. So with the NFL, I mean, the NFL is huge in the US. I think that's going to be great just for eyes on Dapper and eyes on Moments. More eyes that come from the NFL will bridge over to the NBA Top Shot, which will go to UFC. And I think La Liga is a huge addition that's being slept on. I mean, soccer is the biggest sport in the world, and that's going to be huge to get the international players in on this, which is feels like a pretty untapped market right now as well.
Soccer has had some trouble gaining traction in America, but that's because the American team or the American companies that are making the soccer cards, it doesn't resonate well with the international fan base of soccer, where crypto is inherently international and borderless.
And soccer sucks in the US too. we have the worst. I'm not a huge soccer guy, but we have the worst leagues.
we'll see what happens. It's definitely something I'm keeping my eye on. Dapper Labs. I have some friends who used to work for Dapper Labs, and I have more belief. They also were the creators of CryptoKitties, if you're unfamiliar with that, which was basically the first ever, I'd say the first NFT project to have a lot of attention and grace on the mainstream. I guess you could say Rare Pepes for Bitcoin as well, but we're gonna.
So are you a CryptoKitties holder?
I do not own any CryptoKitties. I was going to get a Generation Zero. I need to sell some of these Mooncats, honestly, to get a little bit more. But now that the historical NFTs seem to be pumping a little bit today, hopefully that's the start of some sort of rotation.
I mean, I'm just thinking out loud here, but those Generation Zero CryptoKitties, I mean, just like we look at Mooncats and we're like, how the hell are these so cheap? I mean, that's the same thing really there. It's kind of crazy, and especially given their, historical significance in the same way, what they did for NFT adoption. I mean, it's crazy that those are so cheap, and then, larva chads will pump to 0.3 ETH overnight. I mean, it's painful sometimes.
The derivative stuff, this is kind of what the metagame is right now. That's Kobe's talking NFT machine. I kind of talked about this as well, is last year in 2021, the metagame was PFPs, but simple PFPs, where it was just like cartoon characters, pudgy penguins, cool cats, all this stuff. Now this year, it's just like a derivative, like mishmash. Now you got like cool flipped apes doodle things, and larva lads and larva chads, and there'd be probably larva pads or something like that.
Baby apes, baby mutants, baby jailed apes, baby mutant apes, jailed mutants. Like it's definitely frustrating at times. Like I have struggled with this. I realize that it's the meta, and I see it happening, and I'll look at a project that's this stupid derivative. I'm like, that's gonna pump, and I don't buy it, and I watch it pump, and I have definitely struggled over the last couple months with like I'm losing money because I don't want to participate. And this weekend actually was the first time that I bought some stupid cute project just because I was like, I have to bite the bullet. I need some money here, and I did it, and I made some money, and I hated it, but it is the meta, like you said, and adapt or get left behind is the way I'm looking at it now.
Yeah, these derivatives though, what I have noticed the difference is in 2021, all of the derivatives were pretty much 10K projects. Now they're getting smaller. Now they're like 5,000, 4,000, 3,000, which means that the amount of buyers and volume is decreasing for these projects. So they have to sell them out to keep the hype cycle going. So this means that the exit windows are becoming much smaller.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. And then you got, this don't want to call anyone out, but this group of influencers that will just, drop a couple tweets or go on spaces and be like, oh, look at my new, doodle mooncat. And then boom, the floor is up 10X and they're selling all the way up. I mean, it's tough. And for people, who are kind of on the outside, small capital, and they see this and they FOMO in, like they don't really know better. And they're the ones who are really suffering the most from this getting dumped on. I mean, it's hard to see like these big time influencers dump on their followers who don't know any better in this new meta game. But, getting dumped on is the best way to learn also.
It is. We all learned it. I learned it in 2017 with ICOs. I lost everything that I had in 2018. I made all my money in 2017, put it all, degened it into an ICO, and it never left the stage and lost it all. Yeah. So it's the best way to learn. But the cool thing about the market though here is there is unlimited amount of opportunities out there. Exactly. Sometimes you just got to hold off and really just hold and not give it away.
Yeah. I mean, more often than not, the best play is to hold. Like most of the stuff I've sold, and I'm like, ooh, that's a good flip, nice profit. I wish I just sat on my hands and held. So definitely agree there.
Moving from a flipping world in the physical world with sneakers and trading cards, and moving into the digital world where it's more of the same, but there's a lot of holding. Do you find it tough to disassociate yourself from the trading mentality of the physical world into the digital world and trying to like rebrand that tooling?
Definitely. Like I like at heart, like I'm a flipper. I like to flip cards. I used to do shoes. I used to do streetwear. I used to, leave school every day at 10 o'clock to go Spot Supreme on Thursdays. Like I loved flipping, reselling, all that shit. But I've definitely adopted this holder, long-term fundamental mindset, investing in NFTs, mostly stemming from, I don't have that much capital, and I see the opportunity here, and I realize if I just am patient and play my cards the way I know I should play them, like it will work out. And it's definitely tough to avoid the FOMO and the quick pumps because there's opportunity and it might hit, it might not. But I've definitely found if I am just patient and just chill, it will usually work out.
It's tough, especially when you're becoming an influencer and you have to tweet about the stuff that's pumping. I know a few of your tweets, you talked about how you post some alpha and forgot to buy and just watch it run away.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. And, I definitely feel it sometimes. The FOMO, it gets tough, but I like to play the long game. And I feel I'm definitely playing the long game, do what I know is best right now. And 6 months from now, a year from now, like we know how fast, look 6 months ago, how fast the space has evolved. Like I feel like keep doing what I'm doing, I'm going to be all right. But the FOMO gets tough. It definitely does, tweeting about this shit, not being invested.
I've faced the FOMO a lot. I feel like now most of us who've gone through a few seasons, you just become numb inside.
Yeah. Especially, you as a big cat holder, you just become numb.
It was painful. It's painful for a while. But
and that's got to be one of the most painful holdings is watching all this crap flip Mooncats and flip Mooncats and flip Mooncats, and it's tough.
Yeah, we all know though it's strange because with Mooncat specifically, it was a rediscovered project, and there hasn't really been any influencer hype. And when it first started, and when it was first rediscovered, it was an immediate threat to the CryptoPunks community because at the time it was considered the second oldest NFT project. So Mooncats received a lot of backlash from the influencers because they thought it was the competitor. Meanwhile, Bored Apes is now flipped them. So we really had to have this like grassroots movement of creating our own influencers, our own leaders. That's kind of why I stepped in and started creating YouTube videos about it, because I was like, there's clearly no education about it. And now we see more traction and there's more people coming into the market. Also with a 25,000 piece collection in at the time was a 10K world, and now it's decreasing even smaller and smaller. You just need more people in the industry for it to, more people participating in order to have that like very strong community, which we do. So, regardless, at the time it's recording, the floor is 0.7 ETH. We'll see what happens when this releases. But at one point I had 130 Mooncats. I think I'm down to about 80 now. And I was sizing up a lot of them, selling some off, trying to aped a lot of that into like rare Pepes at a time, which then I realized all the historical NFTs are all like moving together. So as Doodles and Cool Cats and all these are pumping, I'm like, fuck, I'm just sitting here holding the bag waiting, selling at the bottom. Even NFT Machine said that, he sold the bottom to go ape some of Paladin Pandas and all of these other ones. So it does become tough, and we're all vulnerable to FOMOing in on whichever project, which ultimately we end up getting dumped on. Yeah.
I mean, their time is definitely coming though. And, that Machine knows that. And you mentioned the 25K supply, and I definitely think, at the first look, it's a barrier. It definitely is, because 10K is kind of seen as the standard, and right now it's becoming the maximum. But in the big picture here, 25,000 is nothing. I mean, it's nothing.
And when you look at Mutant Apes, they have 20K,
20K,
and the floor is up to, I don't know, 13 ETH or something around there. And so
15 right now.
15s, and they're having a sustaining community, this sustaining the floor. Granted, I've noticed these different parallels where Mooncats are generally, it's a dev-heavy community. A lot of them are developers of other projects or interest, computer nerds, whatever. CryptoPunks is like OGs, hedge fund owners, entrepreneurs, creators. And then you move over to the Bored Ape community, and it's like the pop culture crowd, where the original Bored Ape is more, again, the OG diamond handers who minted from the beginning. But then you're seeing people like pop artists and athletes, Von Miller, and all these people buying into it. And so I thought the Mutant Apes would end up being just like a dilutive value severely underestimated the pop culture crowd, I have to say.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's been crazy to see how fast like these celebrities IRL have adopted to the Bored Apes. And I feel like most of these people have no idea what the hell is going on, but they can recognize like there is something here. And they change their profile picture, tweet it out, and it's the outreach, the response is crazy. Like the community is strong, and the outsiders are obviously definitely taking notes and recognize this.
Do you have any trouble, or do you find any issue in you selling your mutant ape because therefore you're detaching from this identity in the community that you've built around you?
I mean, I definitely feel that. Like, I'm in a situation right now where I posted about it a couple times, and I'm looking to sell my mutant because I think it's a pretty rare one, has good aesthetic, and I think I can get 5, 6, 7, 8 ETH above the floor. And as an investment, like, it makes the most sense for me. I'm not very liquid, and I could buy it, rebuy in the floor, and that liquidity could be the couple trades that get me over the hump there. And I definitely feel attachment to it. It's 6, 7, 70% of my following has come since I put that ape on, and it definitely it becomes your identity. It does. But I feel like the best move is to detach, treat it as an investment. And until I have 8, 9 figures, the forever profile picture is just, it's a concept almost. Like, it doesn't make sense financially to attach yourself to these JPEGs until you financially can.
Yeah, I agree 100%. That's the thesis that you said of the not forever PFP is one of the thoughts of why I didn't ape into it, unfortunately, is that humans tend to change their identity every day, right? We do our hair, the girls put on makeup, we change our clothes. So I thought the same idea would trickle down into the NFT world and PFPs, which kind of has for the most part. But again, just I'm severely underestimating the maybe the 40 or the 140 IQ crowd who's just pretty much aping into it and changing their PFP consistently. To me personally, it seems a little disingenuous, and it shows that the money is really what's driving, or what is the motivating factor, which should be at times. But they could also just be my cope at the end of the day.
No, for sure.
Yeah, it's an interesting world. But let's play out this thought exercise. Let's say you sell your mutant ape. What then are you looking for as a liquid investor into the next NFT project that you might buy into?
First I would re-enter with a floor mutant. I don't think it makes sense at this stage, even with how high the floor is, to lose exposure to the Bored Apes. I mean, there's so much happening. There's so much building here. I definitely would need to re-enter there. After that, I would looking for long-term, fundamentally strong projects. World Wide Web, the floor is pumped, and I'm not sure I would play there, but sub 1 ETH, I would have gone all in. I tried to sell my mutant a couple weeks ago to go all in World Wide Web at like 0.6. It didn't work out. I didn't get in, but that is definitely one I'm looking at. I'm really long metaverse projects with strong teams. Recently, Smiles has taken a lot of my attention. Are you familiar with Smiles?
Smiles verse. I haven't looked into it, but I've seen people posting about it.
I'm big into it. I think they have big potential in like the fat kind of NFTX fashion industry that isn't pretty untapped right now. That's definitely somewhere I'm looking. And outside of that, there's nothing right now that like screams at these prices I need to buy. I definitely just want some liquidity to be able to deploy when it comes, because there's been a bunch of times. World Wide Web was one of them. I caught it at 0.3 was when I made my investment, and I got 1 medium and 3 small apartments, but I didn't have the capital to buy 10. And I was like, this is it. Like, I need 10, 15 apartments. I couldn't do it. And that's definitely something that holds me back is I'm a little overextended, if we're being honest here. I'm overextended, and when an opportunity presents itself, I need to sell something really quickly to get liquidity. That's tough. So having some dry powder to play with is going to be a difference maker.
You'll learn through experience. A lot of us that have been in the space for a long time have learned, aping is cool. Aping is also a meme. So it's important to be liquid because there are surprise drops or token launches or whatever derivative pops up out of nowhere that was under the radar, because it's impossible to stay on top of everything here. Just new shit's launching every freaking day. Now there's multiple chains that you have to pay attention to. Yeah. Like there's Solana NFTs, there's Tezo NFTs, there's I don't know, Flow NFTs.
Flow, yeah. I mean, I've definitely, at this point, I feel I've spent a good amount of time, writing threads, identifying strong fundamentals, strong teams and projects that long-term will do good, but I do not think of myself as a good NFT trader at this point. Like I'm good at finding it, but the actual, deploying of capital, selling, taking profits, that's the place where I really need to improve. And, that's going to come with experience. That's going to come with taking wins, taking losses, and just, some more time playing around in the market.
Mm-hmm. The difference with NFTs comparative to the fungible token space is you're detaching from your identity. So you're also selling some of that social capital with that financial capital that you receive. And in an increasingly digital world where we all want to be socially connected, that's the common denominator. So it makes it a little bit tougher. And we're all just psychologically trading against ourselves and kind of trading against the community. We see a lot of the sell shaming happens, which
absolutely.
I don't think is cool, but it's because everyone feels like subtly betrayed that you're selling on them.
I mean, where else can you, sell an asset for $500,000 up 10,000% in a month and feel bad about it? NFTs, that's it. All these people selling their Forever Ape and they just bought a house, just bought a car from it. And it's like the worst day of their life. It's crazy. Before this, I've never seen anything like it. But I understand the psychology behind it. Like you just said, I definitely see where they're coming from and could see myself feeling a similar way when that, happens.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens here, where right now NFTs are going bananas because ETH is around 30. I think it's like $3,200 at the time of this recording. But once it starts hitting that top range that it's been in, that consolidation bound of the upper bound of 5K, JPEGs kind of go down. It makes me wonder what happens once ETH does break out, because we all know it's going to at some point in time, especially once it leads to the beginning of the merge, because once all of the ETH gets unlocked from that staking contract, it's going to be probably Dump City, which then makes JPEGs go up again. So there's this counterbalance of increasing your ETH, but then once it gets to the upper ETH bound, then you want to trade it for dollars or for USDC or whichever stable coin that you prefer. But it's still tough. It's still tough to know what actually happens, especially with new trends. I've been looking more into music NFTs. These Web3 media companies like Rug Radio, I bought a few of them. I think is very.
I was really looking at that. I almost made a play the other day. It was floor was 0.1, I think, and I saw that. I was like, this doesn't make sense. There's no way this holds here. Didn't make the play. It's up. I think it's 0.3 right now, but it's really the first kind of project like it. And Farouk is huge. He's going to do big things with it. I think there's big potential there.
Yeah. So again, that's why you need to be liquid, because you don't realize these kind of things pop up.
Exactly. Pop out of nowhere.
And I've noticed more, especially in the NFT space, the idea of airdrops and retroactive rewards, which kind of started with Uniswap and then Sushi and some of these other ones. But the NFT community has already rewarded us so many times over the SOS and now LooksRare and Free Mints, Gas. Yeah, I took a little bit of an L on that one, but
I don't even think I've claimed it yet. I didn't even pay attention. Blue
Blue, yeah, there's a lot of these different derivatives. It's just about staking in, and the attention span of the NFT space is much, much shorter. It's probably, if you had to compare it to a social media platform, it'd probably be like TikTok, honestly.
Yeah, it's unreal. It's hard. It's hard to keep up with. Like, even spending all day on Twitter, all day on Discord, and all day on OpenSea. It's like you can't even keep up anywhere near with everything happening. I mean, there's new projects, there's new trends, there's new people popping up out of nowhere. It's crazy being a part of Web3 this early as this is all happening. Like, it's crazy. It's surreal almost.
Have you thought about exploring any other chains NFTs outside of Ethereum and Flow?
I have. I haven't really paid any others that much attention. I don't know why. I mean, I think Solana is definitely going to be a pretty big one. Outside of that, I don't know. I just haven't had that much interest, or I guess reason to go big into anywhere else. But I'm definitely like open to it, and I'm confident. Obviously, Ethereum isn't going to be the number one end all be all forever. Like, there's no way. And there's got to be huge opportunities all over the place. It's definitely something I need to get better at and explore a little more. How about yourself?
I've also tried. I've gone through Solana. I've browsed through Tezos. Haven't really browsed through Flow, but I'm just like, I don't know if I'm just a culturist or just like I'm just too deep into ETH, but I think ETH is going to be a winner. Maybe this is like my crypto boomer status coming out of decentralization preference. But I just think Sol and a lot of these other layer ones are going to be very volatile once they come down, if they ever do. And when that happens, a lot of everything else in the system is going to crash. Expect when you go to Sol, a lot of the layer 2 applications haven't really done well compared to the underlying asset itself. So it makes me wonder if NFTs will be same. Maybe not. I mean, layer 2s on ETH are down pretty bad, but they also had DeFi summer. So we haven't really seen that on some of these other layer 2s yet. I think Avalanche probably has better layer 2 traction. But I don't know if I don't think their NFT space is that big yet.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar. I definitely also feel like, your time is money in this space, and ETH OpenSea is familiar to me. Like, I understand it, and there's so much happening on it. Like, I don't really feel the need, like, oh, ETH NFTs feel toppy, like stuff's slowing down here, I need to go elsewhere. Like, it's familiar, I understand it, and it's all happening here on ETH. So that's definitely another reason that I've just, really focused my attention here.
Now, and all of the innovation happens. ETH has, I think, double the amount of devs combined of all the other layer ones. Yeah. And so all these other ones essentially just become copycats, or you just say that ETH is the first mover. So some new introductions that come in, as we talked about, like music NFTs, now photography NFTs are blowing up. I don't think you'd see that type of innovation existing on other chains. And if you just scroll through Twitter, your Twitter feed, most of it pertains to ETH, especially once they add those integrations in. So I'm trying to keep my eye out on interesting projects that pop up. But I think a little bit more of my focus now has been outside of the historical NFTs, which that's still my love, trying to learn more about like Namecoin and having a Twitter egg and joining the Eggs DAO, which was a very interesting opportunity.
I need to hear a little more about the egg. Yeah. I saw you posting about that. That definitely caught my interest.
Yeah, so I did a thread on it. I was actually very resistant to Namecoin for a little while. I was like a Mooncat maxi for a long time, and then eventually you figure out that you're kind of in your own head. I started doing more research a few months ago. I would say it's probably around October. Researching Namecoin, there's literally no information anywhere, so I had to create like my own like resource docket, which I then post. But I went in the Discord, started posting a little bit, and I found out that Namecoin was actually the first altcoin. It was the first ever coin that was forked from Bitcoin. And if you go through bitcointalk.org, it was the original Bitcoin forum that was created by Satoshi and co. Yeah. Satoshi was actually a huge advocate of Namecoin. You go through the posts. At the time it was called BitDNS. Satoshi was saying that they should fork Bitcoin to have a decentralized name service. And then a lot of it's like, there's a lot of OGs in there, like Gavin Andreessen and Hal Finney and a lot of these other OGs in there discussing. And I just felt like the passion. I felt like I was reading like Egyptian hieroglyphics. Like it was just you could just feel the energy, and it was crazy. So then I started looking a little bit more into it. And I started seeing some other OGs who were minting on Namecoin back in the day, like the Winklevoss Bros, and like I have a NFT from Stephen King. It's a New York one, and so I started doing even more research, diving in. That it's an older project, right? It's literally one of the oldest projects. So it's not user friendly. The UX isn't great. But I started looking through the NFTs that were popping up. And so I came across, there was Twitter Eggs, which had some traction, at least from the collection standpoint. There is NFT photography. There is Twitter Eggs, manga, avatars, emoticons, and blockheads. Those are like the 4 collections. But the thing with Namecoin NFTs is these weren't meant to be collections. What they were basically was there was a dApp on top of Namecoin called One Name, which basically minted your Twitter profile picture and your cover photo into the blockchain. And so that's what these come from. And so the Twitter egg, it was the most popular Twitter avatar that ever existed. It was from 2010 to 2017.
I used to have a Twitter egg.
Yeah. And I was looking through some of the articles. Twitter actually got rid of the Twitter egg because it was so popular. Nobody was putting their real photos as their profile pictures.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so they ended up getting rid of it. And so it becomes iconic. There's only 277 of them. And then I started doing research, and I saw Vincent Van Gogh had one, Keyboard Monkey, Three Arrows Capital.
Makes sense.
And so it made me wonder, like, if Namecoin and these like historic NFTs become its own industry, collections are kind of what runs NFTs, right? You had you have the Top Shot collection, which is in Flow, on Ethereum for 2021, it's Bored Apes, CryptoPunks in 2017, Bitcoin, it's Rare Pepes. Those communities kind of run the NFT world on those chains itself. So I tried to take that philosophy and say, okay, well, if Namecoin becomes something and it becomes this like very risk-on digital artifact, what is going to be the community that runs Namecoin? And so I thought Twitter, iconic, it's synonymous with crypto culture. It's an egg, and had all the big holders. So I ended up trading a bunch of digital land for one. And then the eggs community created a DAO, which costs 3 ETH to get into. If you hold an egg, I do believe they're going to start allowing non-egg owners to come in. And it's been an investment fund. And it's been interesting seeing, also like Daryl Morey's part of it, who's the 76ers. Wow. Was it president of basketball operations or something like that? So I'm in this Discord with like all these legendary, like Sean Leary's in there, a bunch of these like legendary collectors, and people have a lot of wealth, and it's a direct communication. It reminded me a lot of like the Bored Apes, right? That's why people were buying Bored Apes, because so you could talk with Steph Curry and all these different people. So you're basically buying access, but now you're in an investment fund with some of them who are in it, but more so in the chat itself. So that was the thesis. And then as I learned more, there's like the photography component to it. And so I think there's like almost 50,000 actual Namecoin NFTs, but a large amount of them, if you go through the image explorer, is just PFPs of people taking a like a selfie, because it was their profile picture at the time. And so I ended up buying the first Las Vegas NFT, which was a picture of Fremont East, which is where I live. I found when you buy a Namecoin NFT, it'll say like you / and it'll be a name. And so that's the person's Twitter name at the time. I actually went and found the person who minted the Las Vegas NFT and messaged him. And he said, yeah, that was me. He actually said, I wondered what happened. He actually said, I wonder what happened to that.
That's cool as hell.
So I had to just prove it. And after I found out that he proved it, then I was like, okay, this is definitely a thing. This isn't like some sort of like meme magical scenario. and started talking with the community. Also, there's a tool, Emblem Vault, if you're familiar with.
I definitely, the name is familiar.
So Emblem Vault, for those who don't know, Emblem Vault is a tool, or it's essentially a wrapper. It's not a wrapper, but if I had to explain it easier, you could take assets from other chains, wrap it, and then tokenize it and sell it on Ethereum. So that's where you see like rare Pepes from Bitcoin, Spellogenesis, Namecoin NFTs. The Covault team's been working on it since 2015, apparently. So they've been working on that for 5, 6 years, 7 years at the time. And they just got listed on Coinbase Pro. So my assumption is that we're going to start seeing a lot of historic NFTs on Coinbase NFT here pretty shortly.
Oh, yeah. Damn, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's a crazy story, crazy investment. What's the egg floor?
I think it's 16 or 17 ETH. So it's fallen a little bit. The original... When I was looking into it, so I bought a yellow Twitter egg for the equivalent of 25 ETH. Daryl Morey had bought one a few weeks before for 31 ETH, and so I was like, okay, have you ever gone through Daryl Morey's wallet?
No, I haven't.
You need to go through his wallet. This guy is a serious NFT collector. He has everything.
I know he has some stuff. He's pretty big on Top Shot too.
This guy is a serious NFT collector. He's always ahead, and I was reading through some of his conversations on Discord, and he talks about he tries to find all the asymmetric risk on bets in the NFT world because the NFT is already extremely volatile. So if you're in something like an egg, which I think he has 2 or 3 eggs, if you're in like eggs or some of these other outlier ones, I think he owns like Spells of Genesis and pretty much every historic NFT, that's going to have the highest returns in his opinion. So it's kind of following his logic there. And so I'm not, and then Daryl Morey ended up following me on Twitter, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool, you know?
That's sick. No, that's awesome.
You know, so to see,
did you ever chat with him in the Discord or?
I've responded a few times. He goes in and out of some of the historic NFTs. He's in Adam McBride's Discord a lot. He doesn't really post as much in the eggs one, but he is semi-active in Adams, which is cool. I had Adam on the podcast too.
That's awesome.
So it's also a different mindset when you're comparing the historic NFTs to the 2021, 2022. Historic NFTs are all like collector based. It's not as much flipping, which I guess creates a lot of anguish and despair for some of those. They're like, why aren't Mooncats or pumping or hero cards or whatever?
Yeah, for sure.
But it'll change. It'll change over time. I highly recommend getting into it, even if you don't buy anything, just to understand the history of NFTs. Oh, also, the main reason, the like final drop in the bucket for buying a Namecoin NFT was that in the Ethereum white paper, Vitalik calls Namecoin assets NFTs.
Wow.
Yeah, he said that Namecoin domains are non-fungible assets. And I was like, okay, if Vitalik thinks it is for sure, then this is definitely an NFT.
That's wild. So when you were done kind of researching it and digging, did you like rush to get liquidity and get an egg? Like you couldn't sleep kind of thing?
Kind of, yeah. That's why I literally traded 4 sandbox lands, 2 Somnium space lands, and a rare Pepe for it, which at the time sandbox I think was 2 ETH floor, so I definitely lost out on a little bit of the upside, but to me
it happens.
It happens. You can't think about it in those terms. Yeah. I mean, I'm still killing myself over my early Dogecoin exit. I was buying Dogecoin throughout 2019 at like a quarter of a penny, and I was like, you could go through my tweets of 2019. I was saying like, if the internet figures this out, is things going to go fucking absolutely berserk? I ended up selling most of it around 5 cents. So still up, 20, 30x, whatever it is. And it was enough for me to quit my job and live off of it. Oh. But then it literally went another 15x from there. It's like, God damn it.
Yeah, I mean, those are the tough ones, is like looking back on shit you sold early. But, if it lets you to quit your job, I'm sure you pretty much outperform Doge anyways. The cats will outperform Doge.
They will.
Point, so.
Yeah, they will. I mean, it led me to selling at Sotheby's, which infinitely scaled my own social capital. So that was kind of like, even though the Sotheby's auction didn't turn out the way that most of us wanted to, there's no denying that I increased like a 3,000 followers. Also a lot of quality followers, not as many bots.
How long ago was that?
End of October.
I think, I feel like that's maybe when I found your account. October, maybe a little early, but I definitely remember that happening.
Yeah, it's possible. I was in a Twitter Spaces with like Farouk and Nate Alex and all these guys. That's how I got a lot of their followers too, or they started following me and talking with me as well.
A Twitter Space with, it might have been that one, but I'm not sure. You were on Spaces with Farouk, which is what pushed me over the edge to finally buy a damn cat. I was like, I heard I'd seen you everywhere, and I was like, I was just happened to tune in. Like, I didn't even listen to Spaces that much. And you guys were talking about the cats. I was like, I literally can't sleep. I can't take this anymore. I had to buy in. It's
a loving community. But speaking of you rebranding, there's a few tweets you've been talking recently about, first dropping out of college and going full-time in NFTs, but also this idea of like NFT consultation or creating your own project. Is there any substance to that thought, or are you more just kind of thinking about your next play in this fully digital world?
I mean, I definitely have some ideas that, they aren't much more than a couple page doc, and they're pretty thought out, but nothing more than that. I have some ideas. I have some stuff I want to build, want to work on, but nothing that I think I'm going to, pursue right now. The best part of this and the worst part of this is I don't know exactly where this is going to take me, like what I'm going to do, how I'm going to make my money, how I'm going to, really get to where I want to go. And, it's definitely exciting. Like, I'm just kind of thinking about it right now. I'm just going to grow my brand, grow my image as big as I can. And it's going to come to me rather than me seeking it out. That's kind of what I'm, banking on. I'm not pressed or, really pressing to find something like work right now, but it's definitely something I want in the near future. I want a project of mine. I want to be a big part of something innovative and something big and, change the space as we know it. Like I definitely have a future as a builder, as a creator, and I'm looking forward to it. I don't know when it's going to come, how it's going to look exactly, but I definitely see the vision and see it as something that's coming. Hopefully, this 2022. I mean, my Twitter account has grown more than I could have ever imagined. I mean, my goal really was 10K by the end of summer to stay out of school and like believe I can do this. And it fucking flew. Like I hit 9,000 followers like 2 days ago. It's been unreal recently. So I'm just going to keep, firing out tweets, writing threads, and I'm thinking it's going to come to me.
It will. You just have to be patient. I kind of waited around crypto for 4 years before I found an intersection where I could kind of create my own personality and brand in it. But once you're in it, man, it's so empowering.
It's unlike anything I've ever experienced. Like when when I was doing sports cards, I had a Twitter, and what's funny? Sneaker Twitter, I don't know. Sneaker Twitter is really like the reselling Twitter. I've been a part of it since 2016, 2015. And it was like NFT crypto Twitter before I knew what that was. Like a bunch of teenagers, guys in their young 20s, like shit posting, making at the time what was a shit ton of money on reselling. And like, it was like the earliest form of NFT Twitter for me. And there was, micro influencers and whatnot. And I always I looked up to these people, guys with 5,000, 6,000 followers. And I was like, what they're doing, like, it's awesome. They can just, their network is crazy. They know everybody. It's friendly. Like I wanted to be a part of that. And, when I started with Top Shot and NFTs, I used that same account and I followed all these NFT guys like Beanie and Art Chick and Pranksy. Like back when Beanie had 5,000 followers, I was a follower, and Loopify, he was a big inspiration for me. And I loved like what they were doing, and I thought it was so cool to be big on Twitter, and the opportunities they're limitless. But I never really had that platform or a way to get that platform until NFTs until I made the Twitter. And, it's a little intimidating at first. Like I had, when you start, you have no followers, you don't know anybody, you don't know what the hell to talk about, what the hell to post. But once you start and you just start doing it, like it really is compound interest. Like it builds on itself. And before you know it, you have something here, and you can grow it, and it becomes fun. And it's been a blast, dude. I've loved being a part of Twitter and being a part of this community, because it's tough to feel like you're really in it without being on Twitter, without being on Discord and meeting people. And once you have friends, like I haven't met any NFT people IRL, but I feel like I have so many friends, know people personally. Like we're talking face to face on this podcast. Like I've known you for a while now. Like it makes it so much more fun, so much more enjoyable.
It's the ethos of crypto. I was listening to a podcast where Kobe went on Bankless, and Kobe has never met Ledger Status in person, just as Ryan, what's other? Oh, and David have never met each other in public either, and they both host two of the most popular podcasts. It's just
like that's crazy. I mean, it's like I've definitely met. I've only been active on Twitter for 5-6 months, and I haven't met anyone. And I definitely feel like I'm certain that some of my closest friends for years will come out of this. Like I've already met people that I'm sure I'll talk to forever. Like I've sent money and sent NFTs to Bored Ape Anons I've never met, with trusting them. Like it's crazy how fast you can build trust and build a connection, like without even ever meeting the people. I wish I got into crypto in 2017, man. I wish.
Oh, it is definitely a different time back then. Much more. There's fraud now, which is a little disingenuous, but the fraud in 2017 was very disingenuous. People launching full on. I mean, there's a lot of rugs now. There was a shit ton of rugs back then as well.
I can imagine that's the Wild West of the Wild West.
Yeah. Back then. Early. How would you describe your relationship with the community? I mean, you tweet 160 times a day. You're getting, I think it's at 8 million impressions in the last month. How do you manage to respond to all of your followers, your community, and create a relationship with each one?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that you'll see is these influencers. I guess I'll consider myself an influencer now. I used to be anti-influencer.
We got him, boys.
Got that on video. You either die a hero, right? But you'll see, like, I don't want to call anyone out, but these engagement farming tactics, like people will come on and post controversial shit and just fire people up for clicks and whatnot. And it's like a sellout. Like it's an easy way to be an asshole and get followers and get impressions, but I don't like the community that you kind of form around that. And when you get big enough, the hate comes regardless. But I really I'll say prided myself on being real as fuck. Like I'm a pretty straight shooter. Keep the good vibes. Like I'm not here to dump on you. I'm not here to start controversy. I'm here to tell it how it is and do it my way almost. And the majority of my following came from the threads. Like tweeting 150 times a day is fairly new and definitely accelerated by my following. But most people, or at least the early 5K, 6K, are here from, me dropping alpha. So if someone follows you after a thread that they love, like that instant connection, that first impression is good. Like they like you, they're thankful for you. And I've just, done my best to be nice, to be gracious to everybody. And with that, like people throw it back. Like they show the same love. Like people show me love. People are nice to me. I'm nice to them. Notifications and engagement has definitely gotten out of hand fast. I was not expecting this. Like it's tough to keep up with. It's all day, like refreshing notifications. It's hard to get to everybody and to respond to everybody. And I can imagine it'll definitely, get harder, but I do my best and want to continue to, keep personal relationships with my followers as many as I can, like respond to people on their tweets, congratulate them. Like a simple congratulations on a sale is a new friend, is a new follower. And even if you don't talk that much, like once a week you see their tweet, you have a little conversation, little reply, and like it keeps that connection fresh. And you know, people are in the same boat too. Like they have a shit ton of notifications, a shit ton of people to reply to. Like I don't feel like people get upset if you don't reply to them on a tweet or don't answer a DM. Like people realize that you're doing the same shit they're doing. And I think, you know, most importantly, just being genuine and being real, and people will show it back. Like the hate will come. Like hate, any person who has followers on any social media gets hate, gets, you know, angry people in the comments, but just, you know, keeping it real and kind of sticking to, like, a big thing I always say is I've been saying it since I had 500 followers. Like I felt like I knew at 500 followers, this Twitter is going to be big. Like I was sure of it. And I was like, something that, you know, I'm going to stay true to is I'm the same person at 500 as I am at 100K. And that's like another thing, like I pride myself on that. I really want to stay the same person. Like, you know, I dox myself because I'm like, this is me. I'm the same person. You know who I am now. Like I'm not this God complex or non, like I'm me just doing how I think it's right. So that's really what I want to stick to, kind of how I want to build my, you know, online persona, kind of the same way I am in real life. This is what you see is what you get. You know what I mean? And
I definitely feel the genuinity of everything that you're showing. I truly believe that you're going to have a lot of success. You're going to find a project, whether you're an advisor or a founder or a massive investor, you have a lot of success coming your way. So before we get out of here, outside of was it Discover X NFT on your Twitter, is there anything else, any other way for people to follow you or anything you'd like to mention before we get out of here?
No, I think that's pretty much it. Got a couple threads in the works, so hopefully the next few weeks content will pick up a little bit. I took a couple weeks off before that last thread, but working on some good writing stuff. I'll have some good stuff out. Definitely a thank you for 10K thread is coming soon. That'll be a fun one. Definitely, you know, hits home a little bit. So excited to put that out. Excited to keep growing and see where this thing goes. It's exciting. Every day is a new day, new opportunities. It's a lot of fun.
That, in fact, that it is. Also, you got to check out the thread on Thread Guy. That was a funny one. Well, Mike, thank you for coming on. I appreciate that we can have this gigantic Doxx party. I know that I will see you on the Twitterverse probably 10 minutes right after this recording.
So I had a blast, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you next time.